welcome back to Heart with me, Shakti Sundari. We're here at the Taste of Love Tantra Festival for the third and final day, and my first guest today is Janine McDonald. Janine is a lead faculty teacher with ISTA, the International School of Temple Arts, a very experienced sacred sexuality facilitator and practitioner, and she has many years of work as a naturopath and healer. So welcome to Janine. So we're doing something right now. What I'm feeling happening is a mutual calling to presence. Coming into such a still place where words aren't really necessary. I feel this mutual recognition of feminine energies that move through us. Actually, this whole thing could just be a dance of that. Yes, so normally I would be full of questions, and actually we've just entered into this interview in a really different way, where we've just sunk together straight away into a place of deep quiet and presence. It's quite hard to speak. It's almost a place of no mind and no words. But I will see if I can articulate some questions from that. So if you could explain what is happening between us, how would you articulate that?
I feel like there's such a power sitting in presence and in embodiment, and when two people do that, the energies just naturally start to align and vibrate, and particularly when there's a recognition of the feminine energies and the womb. And the wombs start to recognize each other. Here is a sister. Here is a woman who has journeyed. Here is a woman that knows. So there's a feeling of recognition in that, and a dropping in and a sinking that is a place beyond words. It's almost dropping into the void of the womb together. That's what I'm feeling and experiencing right now. I'm really feeling that place deeply in my womb, of really sinking into the void of that place, into the spaciousness, and into the connection that arises from that place. It's clear, without story and agenda.
So is this something that you practice with clients or in the workshops that you hold and facilitate?
Yeah, so I work with all the different archetypes in energy, but I have a particular passion for the feminine and the womb energies, and supporting people to drop into that place and connect with that place and activate that place. Because I feel that there's a lot spoken about feminine energy and knowing the feminine and empowering the feminine and moving into feminine power. And there's different versions around of what's needed to activate that energy. And for me, simply by sitting, connecting with the earth and really dropping into the womb, a woman can activate that energy within herself when she knows the map and the pathways. So I do work a lot with the womb energy. It's a passion of mine, and supporting women to discover that map within themselves and source the codes that open the portals of those gates to follow the map through the womb to access the void energy, which for me, another word for the void is the cosmic womb. So it's a really deep connection from the earth, the womb in the earth, through to the cosmic womb, and bringing those together within self. When the womb can vibrate and connect with both of those energies, it's when a woman is really sourcing her full power from the cosmos and from the earth. So she's grounded here and now in matter, mother, but she's also accessing cosmic womb energies as well that are informing her and revealing from the void. And she's holding that void energy in herself. And when that happens, that's when she activates the power of transmutation of the womb.
Transmutation
of the womb. Because when the womb is activated, particularly when the dark energy of the womb is activated, the womb becomes a transmuter, powerful transmuter of energies. The womb can take energies in and take it through to the void and transmute and transform those energies. So one of the things I notice with people is when they're talking about their different energies and different bodies, a lot of women, when they're first opening to their feminine energy, it's their light energy that's activating, their light body. And so they start to feel energy in their body, activation, orgasmic waves. But quite often it's only in the light body. And when people have an activated light body, the belief systems that start to go with that are, I need to protect myself from other energies. I'm an empath and I'm picking up on everybody's energies. I have to be really guarded around connection because I will take on those energies in my body, and I need to do these practices to get rid of these energies out of my body. And so what I find is that is really when people are experiencing their light feminine has activated, but there's a deeper place, and that place is in the womb. And in the womb, when the dark light activates, the womb becomes a transmuter of energy. And so then nothing can enter her without her permission, and she can transmute energies. The great Dakinis are transmuters of energies. They don't take energies in and become those energies, they transmute those energies. So that's a really powerful quality of the dark body and the dark light of the womb that activates when the womb starts to activate.
How does that come about? When you talk about the womb activating, what's the pathway to that?
So, in my experience, the pathway is through the body. It's an embodied path. It's a pathway of descent. So if you're looking at more masculine kind of pathways. The philosophies that go along with them are more ascendant philosophies of transcendence, non-attachment, stillness, and developing those qualities of the masculine aspect. The feminine is more a path of descent. She's descent into the body, into embodiment, into the earth, into the holy dark of the earth, into the earth womb. And through that pathway of descent through the body, through the emotional body, she starts to activate her movement. She starts to connect with the energy that's held in the atom. That is a very powerful energy and is accessed through the feminine. And when she can start accessing those energies, that will start activating her dark body and her womb.
So what was it that called you to this pathway?
So my path to this place was by going in the opposite direction. So the early part of my life was very much about ascending and going into the light and going into the light and going into the light. And even when I became interested in Tantra and sacred sexuality, my intention was I can now find a way to use sexual energy to ascend and go more into the light. And then my teachers were saying, Janine, you need to go down into the dark. You need to get down into the dark energies. But no one could really tell me how to do that. Because it is an individual embodied path. It's only found within. But I was curious and I knew there was something here. And so I immersed myself in feminine teachings and embodiment practices, and particularly working with breathing into my womb, working with my womb, connecting with my womb blood, and letting the energies and the potent energies of the womb blood guide me as I started to descend down into the earth and into the earth womb and into the dark, and let it reveal to me, let it find me, let it move through me, so I could start to discover these pathways for myself.
So you've spoken of the dark and dark energies, and other teachers that we've spoken to have also spoken of the shadow and the wounding. Could you explain a little bit more about the dark and how you perceive that?
So I think there's a lot of misunderstanding about the dark. A lot of people, when they talk about the dark, what they're really talking about is shadow. So dark can be spoken about in a kind of a polarized way, where so light in essence is more subtle energies, and dark is denser energies when you're talking about light and dark in polarization. But what happens in those denser energies, because it's lower chakra energies, when they're blocked, that looks like addiction, sexual excess, desire out of control. And so there's a lot of fear of the dark, but that's actually not the dark. That's the distortion of the dark. That's the shadow of the dark. And when we know how to access these energies and start to embody them in their healthy form, we start to access the qualities of the dark. And the dark that's where our power is. Our dragon lives in the dark. That is the source of our power. And of course, power disconnected from the heart becomes power over. But when we can access dark energy and connect it with our heart, that's the energy that changes the planet, because it's anchored and grounded. It's not light and fluffy and transcendent. It's got some power behind it. It's fierce compassion. It's love that has power behind it, that creates change and reaches people and vibrates people. So the dark has many gifts. And what I guess my philosophy is, I'm not focused in any one direction really, because I'm more about integration. For me, it's about integrating the poles. It's about accessing the light and understanding light energies and bringing that to the center. It's about going to the dark and accessing dark energies and understanding those and bringing those to the center, bringing them into sacred union. It's about accessing feminine energies and understanding those energies and archetypes and bringing that to the center. And the same with the masculine. And when we can bring those 4 poles into the center, then we can really move as an integrated being, because we can access from the center where we want to move, what we need to access and utilize for this moment to live authentically. But we know the energies, we know the directions as an embodied experience.
And from all your years of facilitating, holding space, if there was one thing that you could communicate from that, one lesson, one gift, one message that you would like to share, what would it be?
What I notice is when people start accessing dark energy and embodiment, it's so simple, really. They become alive. They become alive with life force. And so many people are living in the world so disconnected from their life force. They're living Groundhog's Day over and over. They're disconnecting. They're not connected with the earth. They're not connected with themselves. They're not connected with each other. For me, it's about connection, really. It's all about connection. And what I notice is when people start going into embodiment practices and particularly start connecting with their sexual energy and freeing it up from repression, freeing their dragon from the cage in the earth, they start to become alive as fully vibrating beings, here now and grounded in this moment in a real way, not floating up and ascending and spooking new age philosophies of crystals and chamomile tea. They're actually here now, connected in this moment, connected with land and connected with each other in a more real and authentic way.
I would love to keep asking you questions. There's so much I can keep asking you. But we have to wrap up. So, for those of us or people who've been watching, how can they connect with you and find out more about you?
Yeah. So I have a website, redearthtemple.com, and I'd just like to speak a little about, have we got enough time for me to speak a little about the Red Earth? So the last few years I've been immersing in this piece of land. It's 125 acres of red earth, and it's wild land, it's bushland. And on this land there's a canyon, a womb that goes through it that's actually below the level of the earth. And so I've been really excited to be apprenticing and working with people on this land, because I feel that one of our teachers and one of the missing links is working with the energies of the land, working with the shamanic realms. And so anything that I teach and facilitate, the land is co-creating with me. So it's very exciting for me to be activating living temples, because I feel like that's the next piece in our evolution, is for us to be, just like we're activating the womb, is actually connecting with land and activating land. So we start having living temples around the planet of dark light, connected wombs around the planet that are in synergy with each other. So I call it the dark light grid. So yeah, redearthtemple.com.
Janine, thank you so much. So my thanks to Janine McDonald for sharing such a beautiful energy in the space. And thank you for watching. I'd love you to join me again next time here on Heart to Heart with me, Shakti Sundari.